Hello and welcome to the Lafayette Housing Authority briefing. Due to COVID-19, we are providing you this service virtually. In this video, you will be learning a great deal of information on how to be a successful participant in the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. I'm going to go over a briefing packet that will also be mailed to you in the days to come. You will also be required to complete a verification of briefing to certify that you have watched this video along with 3 additional videos that we ask you to watch. Housekeeping basics, your rights under fair housing, and how to be a good renter. The first brochure is Protecting Your Family from Lead in the Home. It's important that you understand that all homes built before 1978 have the exposure of lead-based paint. Anything built after 1978 were not built with lead-based paint. The next brochure is A Good Place to Live. It provides you useful information on how to select the best unit that works for you and your family. The next brochure is Fair Housing, which offers you information on equal opportunities for you and your family. We have a pamphlet on violence against women and federally funded rental assisted housing. This also applies for men. We have a fact sheet on how your rent is determined for public housing and the Housing Choice Voucher Program. We have an information sheet on Housing Scam Prevention Guide for affordable housing and Section 8 renters. You'll find an occupancy staff member sheet. This does not list all of the staff members of the LHA, but the main LHA members that you will deal with in the days to come as you are a participant on the program. Housing specialists are determined based on the first letter of your last name. If your last name starts with A through K, you will have Kim Holmes as your housing specialist. If your last name starts with L through Z, you will have Bree McKnight. Seth Wells deals with all participants on the VASH program. And other housing specialists are Yuri Dinez, and our housing technician who handles inspections and RFTAs is Robin Wright. This sheet also provides you with our address, P.O. Box, phone number, fax number, our hours of business, and information on our website, and an email address that you can use to report changes in your income, assets, and expenses. Our office hours are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 12 and 1 to 4:30. We allow walk-ins on Wednesdays from 8 to 12 and 1 to 4:30. We are appointment only on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We are always closed for lunch from 12 to 1 p.m. We have a sheet here on applying for HUD housing assistance, and think about it. Is fraud worth it? Unfortunately, we have seen our share of fraud cases here at the LHA. The last thing we want is for anyone to lose their rental assistance. The most important thing for you is to always be honest about any change in your household and keep your information updated with our housing specialists. Our next form is what you should know about EIV. EIV stands for Enterprise Income Verification. It allows us to track your employment, unemployment, and Social Security benefits that you may have. We have an information sheet on grounds for termination of assistance based on crimes that may be committed and their ineligibility period based on that crime. We have the guest policy sheet, and I'm going to read over this information. The definition of a guest. Typically, a guest would visit for a few hours. A guest is not a person who is at your unit eating or preparing meals, showering, doing laundry, or even staying overnight on a regular basis. If a person spends more time at your unit during the course of a day than somewhere else, that person is considered more than a guest. So when does a guest become an unauthorized person? It has here the policy concerning guests. You are allowed to have 14 consecutive days for a guest. That does not mean 14 days for this person, 14 days for another person, 14 days for another person. Once you have fulfilled your 14 consecutive days, you are done with consecutive overnight visits for the 12-month period. If you do not do the 14 consecutive days, you have the option of 30 cumulative days in a 12-month period, which means could average 2 overnight visits per month. Any adult that has been in a unit more than 14 consecutive days or more than 30 cumulative days in a 12-month period will be considered living in the unit as an unauthorized household member. Please keep in mind, if the guest that is staying with you is currently homeless, which means they have no other place to go, they are not considered a guest. They are considered living with you. You are not to allow anyone to receive mail at your unit unless they are listed on your lease. If you allow someone to use your address to receive mail or use your address for any other purpose, it will be interpreted as you have this person as an unauthorized person in your unit. If you have gas, electric, water, cable, phone, etc., in someone else's name that is not listed on the lease, the LHA will interpret that as the person is living there unauthorized. If the person receives a report that you have someone living with you, it is the burden of proof that will lie on you to prove to our office that that person does not live there. You will be asked to submit documentation for this unauthorized person. If you are unable to provide this information concerning the person's address and other items, you will be considered as having that unauthorized member, and that will result in termination of your rental assistance. Please keep in mind there are exceptions to this rule. We understand that some participants may have college students that are away from home during the school year. We understand that they are going to come home for spring break, Christmas break, summer break. And for that, we allow 120 days without being considered an unauthorized guest that college student could be home. The most important is that you reach out to your housing specialist and let them know what is going on. The same goes for children who are subject to any joint custody agreements or for a family who has visitation privileges that are not included as family members because they do not live full-time at your unit. They are not subject to the limitations of the guest policy. Again, we urge you to make sure you report this information to your housing specialist so we are aware what your schedule is for visitations. The final exception that we may have is families may request an exception to the policy for valid reasons such as receiving such as care of a relative recovering from medical procedures is expected to last more than 14 consecutive days. An exception will not be made unless the family can identify and provide documentation of the residence in which the guest will return. So if you have to undergo a procedure to where your doctor has asked that you need someone to stay with you during the recovery, reach out to your housing specialist and we can guide you through what will be required to make that exception for you. The next document is LHA Voucher Payment Standard Schedule. This is broke down by the voucher size that you are given today at the briefing. When we look at the voucher payment standard, that is the gross rent plus the utilities that we estimate for that unit. When we estimate utilities, we use the utility allowance on the reverse side of the paper. Below that, it goes over LHA subsidy standards. We will assign one bedroom for each 2 persons within the household, except for the following circumstances. Persons of different generations may be allocated a separate bedroom at initial voucher issuance. So that means if you are going to be receiving a voucher and it is yourself and your child, you are 2 separate generations. So the household member will get a bedroom and the head of household will get a bedroom. Separate bedrooms may be allocated for opposite sex children when one reaches the age of 6. I apologize. When one reaches the age of 8. Same-sex children will not be allocated bedrooms separately, regardless of age. So that means if you have a 16-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old daughter, you will only get a 1-bedroom for the 2 of them. I guess I should rephrase that. You will get a bedroom for them. You could have more bedrooms based on additional children. Adults applying to be added to an assisted household after the initial voucher issuance will not be provided additional bedrooms and will only be considered for additional persons to prevent overcrowding of the unit. Minors added to the household due to birth, adoption, court-ordered custody after the initial assistance of the voucher will not increase voucher size until the household reaches the maximum allowable, which is in the chart below. Foster children will be included in determining unit size only if they will be in the unit for more than 6 months. Live-in attendants will generally be provided a separate bedroom. No additional bedrooms are provided for attendants of family. Space will not be provided for children who are away at school but who lives with the family during school recesses. Space will not be provided for family members other than a spouse who will be absent most of the time, such as a member who is away for military. A single-person household may be issued a 0 or 1-bedroom voucher. Space will not be provided for minor children who are approved to be in a household but are not there due to birth, adoption, or court-ordered custody. The LHA will reference the following chart to determine the appropriate voucher size. I understand this is a lot of information. The best way to explain it is if you have 2 boys or 2 girls, understand if you have same-sex children, they will always share a room. If you have opposite-sex children, they will get separate bedrooms once the oldest turns 8 years old. We are locking the bedroom size in at the time the voucher is issued. We do not increase vouchers after this point. Based on this chart, a 1-bedroom can hold 4 people, 2-bedroom can hold 6, a 3-bedroom can hold 8, a 4-bedroom can hold 10, a 5-bedroom can hold 12. HUD considers a bedroom any sleeping room. So a 1-bedroom can hold 4 because 2 per living room, 2 per bedroom. The same with a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom and a 4-bedroom. If you have questions concerning your household size and what your voucher standard would be, we ask that you reach out to your housing specialist and they can discuss this further. The next sheet we have here is job opportunities, services, and schools outside the higher poverty areas of Greater Lafayette. The beauty of this program is it allows you to look for housing in other areas that you normally would not be able to afford to rent. We provide you with a map of the high poverty areas so you have an idea of all the areas that we would cover. We provide an information sheet on services for disabled people. It provides the address, phone number, and website of these agencies. We have a list here of landlords that have stated they are willing to work with us. And we also provide their phone number. We understand that some of these phone numbers may not be active. You're welcome to let us know if you find updated numbers. These are the numbers that we have been given to date. Some of the names have an asterisk next to them. That means they could possibly have handicap accessible units. On the back, we have provided you a list or a sheet for you to list all your contact information as you're looking for a unit. The next document is the participant certification. We ask that you read over this thoroughly so you are knowledgeable of what you're signing. You will sign this document every year stating that you understand everything listed. The participant certification states that you will always give true and complete information. I certify all information provided on my application concerning household composition, income, assets, and items for allowance and deductions is accurate and complete to the best of my knowledge. I have reviewed the application for assistance and certify the information shown is true and complete. I understand that knowingly supplying false information, incomplete or incorrect information on this application or at any time while receiving assistance is punishable under federal and state criminal law and grounds for termination from the rental assistance program. You understand that you have to report all changes in income, assets, and expenses. It is a requirement to report to the LHA within 10 calendar days any changes in your income, assets, and allowable expenses. Failure to report these types of changes will require reimbursement for an overpayment of rental assistance and grounds for termination of rental assistance. Please keep in mind 10 calendar days counts Saturdays and Sundays. Changes must be reported in person at the LHA office or by email, and the email address is provided. Reporting changes in household members and marital status. It is a requirement to obtain written approval first from your landlord and then from the LHA prior to moving in of any additional persons into the household. The only exception to getting prior approval to add a person would be the birth of a child. This must be reported within 10 calendar days of birth. It is a requirement to report any change in marital status within 10 calendar days. Failure to report these type of changes will require reimbursement for an overpayment of rental assistance and is ground for termination of rental assistance. This document also goes over the guest policy that we've already spoke on. Please understand, tenant supplied utilities cannot be in someone's name that is not on the lease. That is very important. Abuse of the guest policy is grounds of termination of the rental assistance program. Next is do not duplicate your residence or your assistance. The assisted unit can be used only to reside the participant family, and you cannot obtain duplicate federal housing assistance anywhere else. Members of the assisted household cannot live anywhere else without notifying the Lafayette Housing Authority. It is not permitted to sublease your assisted residence. It is against LHA policy for any member of the assisted household to receive welfare, food stamps, or medical assistance from another state while receiving rental assistance through the LHA, as it would signify that you have another residence. These types of violations are grounds for termination of your rental assistance. You must cooperate with our office. It is a requirement to show up for scheduled appointments, be home for inspections, and supply requested documents by the established deadline. Participants must call to reschedule prior to the scheduled appointment date unless hospitalized, out of town for a funeral or a family emergency, or due to a jury sequester. Participants must call and request an extension on a deadline if they cannot meet it. Failure to attend appointments or by missing deadlines is grounds for termination of rental assistance. The LHA has a zero tolerance policy. This policy is regarding drug-related and violent criminal activity by any member of the assisted household or by persons visiting the assisted unit. This type of activity will result in termination of your rental assistance. Moving or being absent from the unit. Participants must notify the LHA in writing prior to moving from an assisted unit. In order to move with continued assistance, you must provide proper written notice through the landlord and be approved by our office. The LHA policy limits the number of moves during a 12-month period to 1. In order to move with continued assistance, participants must be in good standings with their landlord and the Lafayette Housing Authority. Good standings mean that your rent is current, there are no damages beyond normal wear and tear to your unit, and tenant-supplied utilities are currently on. Damages after you move out. Leaving tenant-caused damages in a unit in excess of the security deposit is grounds for termination from the rental assistance program. If a child who is a minor is removed from a household by CPS or court order, this must be reported to the LHA within 10 calendar days of their removal. If the household member moves out or is going to be absent from the unit for more than 14 consecutive days, the LHA must be notified. Eviction is defined as court-ordered eviction, court-ordered agreed judgment, or vacating the unit after receiving an owner eviction notice, commonly known as notice to vacate. It is a requirement to provide a copy or an owner eviction notice to the LHA within 10 calendar days of the receipt of the notice. If evicted, as defined above, rental assistance will be terminated. The LHA does not permit or tolerate any threatening or verbal abuse to the staff in any way. This type of behavior will result in rental assistance being terminated. Please understand that if you ever disagree with the decision that the LHA has made, you are always welcome to appeal that decision. It is the responsibility of the participant to request an appeal within 10 calendar days of the date of the notice. Termination of assistance. If the LHA is terminating you, they will send you out a termination letter via USPS, United States Postal Services, in a certified letter. It is important that you check and or pick up your mail on a regular basis. All copies are given to participants. It is important that you keep the LHA paperwork in a safe and secure place. The LHA will furnish you with one copy of the assisted lease agreement at no cost. A fee will be charged for additional copies. There will be a fee for each copy for any other documentation previously provided to the participant. You will be signing this document stating that you have read and understand the above information. You understand that your rental assistance will be terminated if you fail to follow the policies. You also acknowledge that you received a copy of this form, which we will provide you. Reporting changes to our program. What is a change? We consider a change as starting a new job or ending a job, experiencing a change in earnings of your income source, whether it be wages, Social Security benefits, TANF, SNAP, regular contributions, etc. A new baby or a household member moving out of the unit, changes in assets, expenses, additional changes may apply. All changes in household composition, income, assets, and expenses must be reported within 10 calendar days. Please note, a calendar day includes Saturday and Sunday. Failure to report within the 10 calendar days will result in violation of the program and could lead to termination of the program. There are 3 ways to report changes. You can email your information to the email address change@lafayette.in.gov. You can go online to our website, which will be listed on this form, and complete a report under the Change Income tab. You could also come into our office and report your change. Unfortunately, during COVID-19, our office is closed to the public, and at this time, this option is not available. Typically, you would come into the front desk clerk and let them know that you have a change to report. If you do not have a way to report changes electronically, you can still write a change on a sheet of paper and put it in our drop box outside the front of our building. Our office will then contact you on completing this change. Please note, if you report electronically, you will be responded to by our office via email. Please make sure that you monitor your email for our response. You cannot report any change by phone, fax, or emailing your housing specialist directly. If you attempt to report this way, it will not be counted as reporting. Each month, our office has a cutoff date to process rent changes. The cutoff date is always the 3rd Friday of each month. This is most important for participants experiencing a job loss or a decrease in earnings. If you report past the 3rd Friday of the month, you will be required to wait an additional month before our office will process your change. Again, this document will be required to be signed and returned to our office, and we will provide you a copy for your records. We will also be mailing you the participant handbook. A lot of useful information is in this handbook, and we encourage you to read over this information. The last document we are going to go over is what we call the RFTA. This is the Request for Tenancy Approval. Sorry, Request for Tenancy Assistance. I'm sorry, no, it is approval. Wow, long day. This form is what is completed by your landlord. The RFTA process. You will be asked to have your landlord fill out this RFTA. It's a landlord that you have selected for the unit that you pick that works best for your program or for your family. We ask that you turn in the yellow RFTA after the landlord has completed it and you have signed it as well. You can call Robin, and there's a phone number listed here. We ask that you give her at least 4 business days. Keep in mind, business days does not count Saturdays and Sundays. She will work up your file, and she will make sure that the unit is affordable based on your household size and income. She will also set an inspection date by contacting the landlord. Once the unit has passed inspection and passed affordability, Robin will process what's called an occupancy permit, also called a pink slip. Typically, we have these at the front desk for you to pick up. If we are in the closure of COVID-19, we will make sure that we mail these documents to you. As a reminder, tenant is responsible for the security deposit. The tenant must pay their portion of the rent that we determined based on their income and household size. You must also move into the unit by the date that is stated on the RFTA. So when talking with the landlord, make sure that you guys both agree on what date you're going to be moving into that unit. That completes the briefing packet. I hope you find this video useful and will reach out to us if you have any additional questions. We honestly want you to be a successful participant in the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. I cannot stress enough, the most important thing is that you are honest with us when participating in our program. It will make you the most successful participant on the program and provide you and your family the most benefits. Again, reach out to us, ask us questions. We are always here to help you. Like I said, this packet will be mailed to you in the days to come. Thank you so much.